Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Faith. Today I have a very good friend of mine as a guest, and he's one of the longest friends I've had as well. I've been known him for close to 10 years. But in addition to being my friend, he's also a police officer. And we're going to be exploring that and asking him interesting questions today. And so please welcome Vithushan, aka Vee.
Yeah, Vee. Probably easier to say for most people, but yeah.
Yeah, so Vee for Vithushan. But, so, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so, like Jim said, my name's Vithushan, but people call me Vee, most people. Yeah, like Jim said, police officer. As well as that, I'm a husband, a father, a son. So, yeah.
Lucas, yeah. Perfect. Let's get right into it, bro.
Yeah, let's get right into it.
So what do you do now, exactly?
So my job pretty much entitles of being a response police officer. So basically just responding to 999 calls. Not always 999 calls, but basically just responding to any jobs that are out there. Yeah, pretty much that's my job, but obviously that comes with a lot of things entitled into it. But my day-to-day job is that. So we have like day shifts, 12-hour shifts, and then we have 2 night shifts as well. So yeah, that's pretty much what my job entails. And then as well as that, just being a father on my rest days, looking after.
You're a great father.
Yeah, thank you, appreciate that. And then looking after Lucas, my boy, and then just spending time with friends and family when I can, when I'm off, and stuff like that. So yeah,
it's perfect, bro. Before becoming a cop, you were a prison guard, right?
Yeah, so prison officer. So I did that for I think about 8 months, 9 months. I initially wanted to get into the police.
Yeah.
Because before I was a prison officer, I was working with young adults with autism in like a care home setting. So during that time, I wanted to apply for the police, but there just wasn't any vacancies at the time. So then I thought, you know what, why not? Let's apply for the being a prison officer.
Yeah.
So and then so I applied to be a prison officer, just waiting for a vacancy to be open for the police, and then pretty much, and then 8 months in I applied. Well, actually 4 months into my job I kind of applied, and it was just a long process of waiting and for the vetting and stuff to come back.
That's fine. So you were doing psychology as your major,
yes.
And what made you want to become a cop, basically?
So basically, I'm not really much of a studying kind of person, so uni was never for me. I originally first started doing sports science in uni, did that for like 2 years and then dropped out. And then I did, like you said, psychology. But I just thought studying isn't for me. I pretty much hate uni. I can't sit down and write stuff and like focus like that. I'm more of a practical person. I like to be out there. So I did psychology for like a year. Oh, not even a year actually, probably like a bit less. And then I decided, you know what, I need to do something that I enjoy. I kind of did uni for my mum, to be fair. But I told mum, I said, you know what, I need to do something that's what's for me. And I was like, I want to make you happy too, but I was like, this is just not helping me. I was like, I'm not really getting anywhere with it. So I thought, you know what, let me do something because I've always liked to help people. I think in most jobs that I've done, I like to help people. I think I probably picked that off my mum. My mum's she works with children with special needs in schools and stuff, so she's like a SEND teacher. But ever since she was younger, she's always liked working with kids in a school setting and stuff. And she's like a Sunday school teacher as well. So I think I just picked that off her, really. But it's just, I think for me, it's just I think uni was just not for me, so I had to do something which involved getting into a more practical setting.
But Auntie's a legend. So.
Yeah.
but bro, like what made you think? I'm just curious about the thought process behind this. But what made you choose police as the career to pursue, rather because there's many practicalities?
Yeah, there is. I think I don't know how to say it, to be fair. It's just I like to be in positions where I get a bit of an adrenaline jump as well. As crazy as it sounds. I think a lot of people do ask me, but I just love the adrenaline. I think it's like that moment where I'm like, it's like a fight or flight mode. So I don't know. I like being in that kind of setting.
Do you think that's a first responder? That's one of the main things.
Yeah. To be fair, at work we always talk about it. We talk about, to be in the police, I think you have to have a kind of specific type of mindset, and I think you need to be able to cope with a lot of things, because you see all sorts of things. And I think I just thought, because at the time, to be fair, my cousin, he was in the police, and I was just speaking to him about it, and I said, like, what do you think? How is it? And he would tell me some of the stuff that he's seen, and I'm like, yo, that sounds cool. I'll be honest, that was my honest thought process. Fair. I was like, but but at the end of the day, I think it's just helping people.
Yeah.
Because I think in policing, it's all about helping people and just being just helping people in general is something I quite enjoy.
Yeah.
And in the social settings, I like speaking to people, getting to know people, and policing, as well as your colleagues and stuff.
Yeah.
You see all sorts of people, who walk through all different walks of life and stuff like that. So yeah.
Nice. Describe a day in your life, bro, as a cop, especially as a first responder.
A day in my life, as in, do you want to know from the moment I get up, kind of thing, or is it like when I get to work?
Get to work.
Okay, when we get to work, so I get in about 5:30. We always get in about half an hour earlier to our starting time, just to relieve the night shift. That's on a day shift anyway. Get in, and you just pretty much get ready, kit it up, put all your stuff on, and you just wait, really. If you got paperwork to do from the week before, whatever, you get that done. You have a quick coffee, have a chat with your colleagues and stuff like that. But yeah, it can be on the go. I think on Monday, we got in about 6:30. Within 6:45, we got a call. We're out straight away.
Wow.
Yeah, so it depends. It can be quiet.
Yeah.
We're not really allowed to say that word at work because they have a superstition of, if you say the word quiet, it all goes crazy.
You jinx it.
Yeah, you jinx it basically. But I don't believe in the superstition, so I always say it because I like it when it's chaos, man. It makes my time go quicker. And it's busy.
I hear that, man.
So I don't mind it. But so about it, just basically it depends. It can go from down here to up there really quick, and then from there onwards it's just gonna be constant. You can constant calls. You deal with one job, you come back, you have to do maybe paperwork, but sometimes you don't even get time to do that. Because the controller will be like, I have no other units available. You're gonna have to go out. Bang, we go out to the next one. There was last week. It was just pretty much, there was one day where I just had enough time just to go to the toilet quickly and leave. So I had to get back out. So sometimes that's just the job. Sometimes you don't even have time to eat. It just depends, really.
And the kind of cases you deal with every day, is it similar or it depends on the day?
Yeah, I think every day you would always get a domestic call. That's really common. And then you always get a call for mental health. So someone who's feeling suicidal. So we call them high risk misper. So it's basically a missing person is what we call them. So so it's just always we get, those are the most common ones, domestics, and then you get your standard car crashes, stuff like that. They're quite common.
Yeah.
But always dealing with mental health, that's very common, and then domestic calls, very common as well. And then during the time, if it's night times and stuff, you have burglaries and stuff like that. But yeah.
Wow. So I'm just going off what you said about mental health and people wanting to commit suicide and stuff like that. So has there been any case where, I'll take this off if you need to, I'm just gonna put it out there, but has there been any cases where you had to convince someone to not?
So to be fair, I'd say this was about 2 weeks ago now. So it was a child. I think she was obviously 14, 15 years old, and she lives in a care home setting and stuff. But yeah, she obviously didn't want to be there and whatnot, and she has like a lot of mental health things that she's going through. And then she was basically on a train line, like a live train line, and what happened was so my colleague was driving, so I gave her a call because we had a number, and we were like, oh, where are you? And on the call she was basically like, oh, I'm on this like train track basically, and we were like, sometimes when they say that, you don't know whether to believe them or not, because sometimes they can just ring and say that they're... This is the thing with policing as well, like, you have compassion for people, but sometimes people take advantage of it as well, so they can ring us and be lying about it. So it is difficult, so you have to kind of just assess the situation when you get it, kind of thing. But anyway, so she was on call, and she was like, she's on the train line, like literally on it, and we were like, okay, if you're on it, can you get off it, please? And as I was speaking to her, I could hear like this train, I could hear like a massive I don't know if you've heard the train like honk basically. And you could literally hear it so loud that I thought like she must have been next to it, because it was that loud on the call. Anyway, so we got there, and then I stayed on the call still. We got to the train line basically, and it's like it's not like at a station or anything, it's like one of those stops. So we got there, and then so I was on call with her, and my colleague was like, you stay here, keep an eye on her, because we have to kind of go back to our control room and tell them what's going on, update them. Right, so I was on call with her, then trying to speak to the control room, and then my colleague as well. So my colleague went, he was like, you stay here, keep an eye on her, and like keep her talking basically. And then he went to find out like how she got on basically. And then I was just speaking to her, so I was just trying to like, say, hey, look, you can speak to me, I'm here to listen, kind of thing. And then we were like, what's happening, why are you feeling like this? And then sometimes you kind of want to speak about something different as well, just to get her mind off it. So I'm like, look, you got friends and family, right? I'm sure they'll be there to listen to you. And then she told me about one of her friends. I said, oh, so how is this friend? I asked a bit about her as well, just to kind of get her mind off it. And then as I was speaking to her, my colleague was, so at this point we had told control she's on a live train live lane, so they basically halted all the trains, they stopped it all, and then my colleague literally went round and then basically just grabbed her from the side and pulled her off basically. But yeah, that was, but after that incident we found out shortly after, like during that time when she was off, someone from National Rail, they came and they basically said, we had like a near miss. So the train literally missed her by like a very small amount. This was when I was on the call with her. So not the point where I saw her, but when I was on call with her, and it was a near miss, so they had to put the emergency brake on the train. So yeah, she's one lucky girl basically. But yeah, just like that, the stuff like that we get. But it's just about, I think you just have to adjust the situation. I mean, assess the situation and then adjust from there, really.
You have to adapt a lot, basically.
Yeah, you have to adapt a lot, and every day is a different day.
Yeah. Was she grateful?
Yeah, I don't know, to be fair, because she was, so we had to take her to, like the hospital and stuff after, and she was just like recording herself on TikTok after. But kids are like that these days, they want how do I say, what's the word, they want attention. Some don't, some generally don't, but some kids unfortunately do. So that's what I mean. So when I say, you don't know who's, it is really hard, because sometimes I think obviously she does have mental health and stuff like that, and I'm not saying she doesn't, but some of them do it for the attention as well, and some don't. Some generally have like, but then I think the way I think of it is, you have to have compassion for everyone to a certain extent, but within policing sometimes you have to adapt, and you have to realize, okay, are they actually going through this, or are they just making it up to, I don't know, waste your time or do this or that, So it's tough. It can be tough at times in that kind of sense. So you just have to switch on and off at certain times of when, like, when you have to figure it out, basically.
Bro, that's like, wow. Like, and you experience this almost not similar to this, but you experience this kind of intensity almost on an everyday basis. Do you reckon?
I wouldn't say every day. Probably like it can be a couple of days straight, but sometimes it's, I don't know, that kind of situation. That was the first I faced in, to be fair, a while, I'd say. A couple of yeah. But like, because you see so much of it, you sometimes even forget about it as well.
Do you think you feel numb to it? You go numb to it?
Yeah, I think stuff like this, you do. You get to a point where you're numb. But I think for me, I always say for me it's God. Like, I feel in this job, a lot of this doesn't faze me, but it doesn't affect me. Like, I keep my job life and then my home life separate. So when I come home, I don't think about work. I think it's important to separate both. Because if you don't, then it's gonna be tough. So if you bring your work life home with you, it's gonna be really hard. Especially, I think, in my job anyway, I don't want to bring any of that back home with me. But I just think it's God. Like, I think generally when people say, "Oh, what do you feel like your purpose is in life?" My purpose, I believe, is to help people. And I think with this job, that's the best way I can do it, really, is to help people and stuff like that. So
I mean, that's a good segue to my next question. That was my next question, because we always talk about serving God and all that, and you say, and like most of the time you've said that, like, what you do day to day is serving God. And I was going to ask you, how does that look like to you? How do you involve God on that everyday basis in terms of your work?
Yeah, so I think with this, it's like, I'm not going out there like, spreading the word of God kind of thing, or like, saying scriptures to people. I think it's just about how you are as a person, being empathetic with people. I think you have to show a level of empathy in this job. And I think like I said, you see all kinds of people in this world. You see them in different, like, settings, their environments, and I think a lot of them as well, like I said, like, a lot of them have had difficult upbringings. Their environment has not been, good, not the best. They haven't been treated well. So it just depends, really. Like, so that's what I mean. Like, I think the way I personally think I would, like, the way I involve God is just to be empathetic, to be able to listen to people, and to be calm under pressure, basically. So, like, sometimes there's been times where, you do obviously shout at people, you do get angry and stuff like that, but sometimes you have to kind of show that back in order for them to understand and to stop.
And listen to you.
And to listen as well, because sometimes we're in a very dangerous situation, and the only way I'm going to get across something is by, shouting, raising my voice. But then there's been times where, at the same time, I'm remaining calm as well, because like in this job as well, I think if anything, I'm more calmer with my job than I'm out. So, like, I have more patience at work than I do out of work, because I think my mum and my wife will probably say, don't have as much patience outside of work. But now that I've got a son as well, I think I've learned to be a lot more patient, because I have to, show him and teach him how to be patient as well. And he's only gonna follow what he sees. So
but it's very I mean, I knew like all these years this is what you've been going through, but it's very eye-opening of how much, like, when you say adrenaline, bro, every day you get that and I don't, like, do you think that actually helps you mentally though, like having that almost on an everyday basis?
I mean, some days when I come back home, I'm shattered. I'm so tired, especially if I've had a long day. You really do get tired, but I think I just pray and ask God, just keep giving me strength day by day, really.
And also, because you talked about being firm with people or people who are you're dealing with, how about you draw that line between being firm and making sure they listen, and showing compassion, because there's because some people would not listen to you even though you show.
Oh yeah. Sometimes they don't, and if they don't, then you have to show a level of authority, or you have to show something in order for them to stop or understand. So, like for example, if they, trying to hit us or something like that, then we have to show a level of force where we can protect ourselves and protect others as well. So it just depends. Like I think with compassion, yeah, it's tough. It can be tough because people like to, like I said, take advantage of you. Especially because policing in the UK is very different to anywhere else in the world. If this is like India or anywhere like that, you're probably getting beat up pretty quickly. But like, what I'm saying is the policing in here is very different to how it is anywhere else, though, isn't it? So here we have to remain a lot more calmer. Well, not really a bit more calmer, but the level of force you have to show has to be a bit more. What's the word? You just got to make sure you're not overusing your force and stuff.
I think you mean you need to be more in control.
Yeah, you have to be a bit more in control.
Let your emotions.
Yeah, not let your emotions control you.
Yeah.
I think that's
main thing.
Not let your emotions control you. That's the main part of this job, I think.
Yeah.
I think you have to. Yeah.
I have a question. How, especially as a cop, especially as a police officer, how do you guys keep each other accountable?
Accountable in what sense? As in like making the right decision, or
the right decisions, and also making sure that those decisions you made are the right ones, and going and reflecting that afterwards.
Yeah, I think in policing though, sometimes you don't always make the right decisions, but we're all human, right? Sometimes, when I say you don't make the right decision, sometimes you, I don't know, may not arrest them now and then you arrest them later. But you've got to be important on doing that. You have to rationalise everything in policing. So if you haven't done something, you have to explain why. Obviously, we've got our body-worn cameras as well, so that's always on incidents. So with that, you can look back at it and see, okay, where have I gone wrong, or have I missed something?
Yeah.
But I think obviously in policing, you always have your back with everyone. So everyone has your back, as in everyone has your back and stuff like that, really. So yeah, even if, say for example, I haven't made the right decision at a job, someone else may come and be like, no, I think we should do this. And then you kind of have not an argument, but it's like, okay, let's talk about it then. And then you sometimes speak to your supervisor. If I'm ever unsure about something, I always speak to my supervisor anyway, like my sergeant.
What's the age difference between like your sergeants and yourself usually?
It varies, but my actual sergeant, I don't know. To be fair, I don't know how old he is, but there's a bit of I'd say like 10 years.
Okay, so the good senior basically.
Yeah, but there's young sergeants as well.
Okay.
Who are like 23, 24. They're like younger than me.
Yeah.
But they've started policing younger, so like 18, 19, and they've kind of built their way up. So yeah, it varies. I think age is nothing, like it doesn't matter, but it's just about how
experience.
You are. Not even experience. But I think anyone can become a police officer. It's just how you are, like maturely. Like, do you take responsibility for your actions? Can you be mature on making decisions? And like I said, policing is not for everyone. I think you have to have a special type of mindset to kind of lock in and be like, okay, because you're gonna see some crazy stuff. And yeah, because the question I always get asked is, how do I sleep at night after half of the things that I see? But I'm like,
how do you sleep on that? I feel like you compartmentalize, like you're able to like make sure you draw that line.
Yeah.
And
I think, like I
work.
said, I think it's God, man. Because for me, I just leave it all to God, kind of thing. Like, I think mentally, I just block out anything. Right? There has been days where I've seen something pretty crazy, and then I come back home and I'm just like, oh damn. And sometimes it takes me a day or two to kind of recover from it, but then you just keep moving. Like, I will go to a job, I will see something, then we just go on to the next job. Sometimes you don't have enough time to process it. Sometimes it's the drive back home that I'm processing it. So.
And how does Rubini help?
Rubini's very she's very like thoughtful, and she will ask me, like the only person I could probably talk to work about a lot of the time is my wife.
Of course, yeah.
I do talk to my friends about it, but I think with her I talk to her about it a lot. So I tell her how I felt and stuff like that. And she she always says, you need to go and see a therapist soon. She's like, yeah, it's gonna, because even my mum, she's like, yeah, you're gonna go and need therapy soon. I said, well, God's my therapist for now. Or he's my therapist, not for now, but as in, like, you know, he's my therapist, and till I need a a physical one right in front of me, then we'll see. But at the moment, I'm good. But you never know, it might catch up to me in a couple of years' time, but hopefully not.
As a police officer, what's the biggest lesson you've learned, bro?
Biggest lesson, I think the biggest lesson I've learned is not to trust everyone. Not to be, what's the word? Someone help me out. What's the word where you can't trust someone? As in, like,
wary?
Don't be gullible. Yeah, don't fall into that trap of being gullible to someone. Because in policing, I learned this very early on. Yeah, you can't trust everyone, man. Especially because the thing is that half the time we're dealing with criminals, so, and they're gonna say whatever they want in order for us to believe them.
Yeah, but the same thing can't apply for your life, can it? Like your outside work.
Yeah, well, it can't, but sometimes it does. You know what I mean? Sometimes it automatically does.
But how do you not let it go out of control in terms of like because sometimes, because you deal with criminals almost on an everyday basis, you're like, okay, obviously you can't trust them, and you know that. But when it goes outside work, how do you make sure you don't apply the same thing for every person you meet?
I think it's sometimes you do know when someone's not lying, like you generally do. But you just gotta keep your eyes open, basically. You gotta make that right decision. You just gotta keep yourself open to anything, all possibilities. Because there's been situations where we've dealt with someone and they're like, nah, I'll be fine, I wouldn't do this and that, and then all of a sudden, bang, like a switch they can flip, and you're like, yeah, right, this is why. So we gotta, you just gotta be alert at all times. I think you gotta be attentive to everything. Can't keep your guard down, because when especially the people that we deal with, they see you keep your guard down. That's the point where they're gonna think, okay, I'm gonna get you now. So yeah,
that's fair. So during your time as a prison officer, what's the difference between being a police officer and a prison officer?
I would say prison officer is a lot more, I would say it can be mentally challenging. For me anyway, in terms of, because when you're working in a prison, you're indoors. You don't have access to anything like the outside world, basically, during that time where you're working there. So you don't have your phone on you. You can't really speak to anyone outside. You can go on your break and stuff and come back, but that's about it. And I think you're seeing, pretty much, depending on what wing you're working on, you're seeing the same people all the time as well. And in the prison, there's a lot of vulnerable people in there. Majority of them are vulnerable. And you can see who is like in charge and who's not, as in within the prisoners. Because you see, like, in prison, you see all sorts. People think, I don't know, like, they have drugs on there, they have weapons in there. Because you get like drones and stuff, so they will fly it in, drop it. They have phones in there.
Wow.
Yeah. You think you would think, oh yeah, you can't get that in, but they get it in.
And you just obviously have to go. Do you do checks, inspections?
Yeah. So sometimes we have to check like cells.
Yeah.
Completely turn it inside out, empty out everything, check everything.
Like, is it like a weekly thing or a monthly thing? Like
Sometimes, inspections would. Sometimes we do like random checks if we get intel and stuff. But like, that's what I mean, because think about it, right? They're in prison.
Yeah.
They've got all the time in the world to think about where to hide this, how to create a weapon out of this. They've got so much time on their hands because they're in there for years, sometimes months. But So yeah.
Give me a scenario where you found it very difficult to show a prisoner compassion.
I guess it depends on the offence that they have done. So I think anything to do involved with like children, stuff like that is tough. It's really tough. Even before I was a father, that stuff is tough. But I think it's not even showing. It's not about like showing the compassion. I think you just got to be. How do I say it? You got to keep the same kind of. You got to be equal. You got to be equal with everyone.
Yeah.
Because if you show favoritism and stuff, then you're really going to get caught out. But yeah, I think it's just like I said. When I'm at work, I keep the way I am is different to how I am outside of work. As in, I'm the same person, but like dealing with people is different, and stuff like that. So yeah. But yeah, I think anything involved in like because in prison they're all in there because they've been charged with something, right? And in the prison that I worked in, you don't rarely have people who. You have like the same kind of lot. So you have people who've murdered. You've had like anyone who's dealt with like drugs and stuff like that, drug possession or like dealing with drugs. You very rarely have like paedophiles and stuff because they're set in one specific prison. So any sex offenders or paedophiles or anything like that, they're like a separate prison because they get targeted in prison. In a normal prison, they will get targeted. So they'll get targeted as soon as they find out that you are a paedophile or anything like that. Then they're out for you, or the other prisoners. So, but yeah, we did have a time where we did have one on our wing. You just got to you just got to not let it affect you. Really, don't think about it.
But if you see there's a different prison for them, why did they bring that specific?
Sometimes they might have not had space in that prison, so they're gonna have to bring them to this one. There's been times where it happens like that.
Speaking of space, so what do you think about this new thing where people are getting let
Released.
go because?
Yeah, it's crazy times, man. I think it's crazy because they have no space. I think when they're in prison, they go through that rehabilitation mode, and they go through the rehab, and they do because in prison you can do courses. So you can do a lot of courses if you don't have your like maths and English, which a lot of them don't, because and it's not their fault, I think, because a lot of one thing I realized when I worked in prison is a lot of them had difficult upbringings, and the prison that I worked at, there was a lot of London-based offenders, so a lot of them were from London, and in London it's just a different world, man, because you have like their upbringing is very different. They weren't showed the right path and stuff like that. Even when I spoke to one of them in there, and I said, when you get released, are you going to do this again? And he goes, probably, because this is the only thing I know how to do, like dealing drugs and stuff. And sometimes you just, at that point, you're not even angry, you're just like, damn.
How old?
He was like they're all over 18, but I think he was like 21, 22.
Do you think if that guy, they would have had right guidance from a young age, do you think they would have been able to?
Probably not, because when I did speak to him about it, he basically said, he doesn't have his family and stuff like that, and I think his family have pretty much disowned him anyway since he's gone to prison. But yeah, it's just like sometimes some people don't. All they've learned since they were young is how to do one specific thing, like dealing drugs or being in a gang.
Do you think
and they don't know any different, really?
Do you think, because you've dealt with a lot of prisoners, or even now you've dealt with a lot of people who are suspects and stuff, do you think a lot of them come from a dysfunctional family?
Yeah, I think it could be. I think there has been moments like that, but I think it's also the environment, like I said, and especially nowadays as well, in this time, I think for kids is getting worse, because in policing a lot of the jobs that we sometimes deal with is majority of them are all kids. Like, you know, having fights at school, being exploited into gangs and stuff, stuff like that really. And because of like social media and stuff like that as well, it's obviously social media is a good and a bad thing. But especially now, you have a lot more access to things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just one of those. So I think it can be from a dysfunctional family, yes, but it can also be, you can have the best parents in the world, but
Bad influence.
just influence. Because when you go to like school or something, you can get influenced by anyone really, or anything that you see online, you can be influenced by it. So it's difficult.
It's difficult to zero down on the majority. This is the reason and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. You can't pinpoint it to one thing, but those are one of the many factors.
I hear that, and it's actually, I'm actually quite surprised that you said a lot of them are kids you're dealing with, like when you get called out and everything, and I know you're just one person, one police officer, but how do you think they can change that, bro? Like, how do you think we can avoid, like, kids being, like you say, most of your call-outs are this?
I think, obviously, doing stuff like youth clubs and stuff, stuff like that is pretty important. And then just getting them into, like, you know, some sort of, like, I don't know, activities or, like, sports or something like that.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I think with kids nowadays, a lot of the time they want to be part of something. I think that's what the main thing is.
Being included.
Being included, yeah. And I think lately I read somewhere, I think this generation now, or the biggest generation, are turning to Christians.
Yeah, Gen Z.
Yeah, Gen Zs. And that's great. And I think that's because they're part of something where they feel included. And I mean, as much as, like, you know, God's touching all of them as well, I think it's the people there as well who build it up to kind of make them there. But like I said, like, I think it's just about trying to include, you know, kids want to be included in something. A lot of them as well, they just have a lot of issues where they don't know how to deal with it, and the only way they can is just by joining gangs or going out there and doing things that they shouldn't be. And feeling like, okay, you know what, I feel cool now, or whatever it is that they feel. But yeah,
the community is so important.
Community is definitely important,
Yeah, and
100%.
And I think, like, that's where churches play a big part, isn't it? Like, so that we'll have those kind of youth clubs or youth basically, and make sure that, you know, we include all of them and make sure we reach out. That's, I think, another word is reach out. I think I've seen videos of people, pastors, saying that how they were able to bring like youth, like 15-year-old who were in gangs, back to, you know, into their youth program and stuff like that, because they reached out, they stepped out, they said, "Can I pray for you today?" Like seeing them in the streets and everything, and they let them pray, and then it becomes a pattern, and then they were able to lead them to church after that, and then they were able to turn a new leaf. And how do you think churches, what kind of role do you think churches play in this kind of scenario where, you know, with young people and so forth?
I think with churches, obviously, they're trying to get the youngsters more involved, so doing, you know, youth groups and stuff like that, and like doing weekly things with the youth and stuff. I think that's one of the main ways they're doing it. But if I had to say, I think what's most important, I think as well, I think which is changing, is that I think churches are becoming more acceptant of people for who they are. Because I think there was a time where you have your very, I don't know how to say it, would I say stereotypical churches, like where, you know, it's like, oh, if you've been in this position or you're like this, then I don't know if we can have you here, because we don't want you to spread that influence. But the way I see it is, with Jesus, he accepted everyone for who they are, and I think that's how, I think churches are being a lot more included now.
Yeah, and Jesus spent most of his time with sinners.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's one of the things that really irked the Pharisees.
Yeah, and the thing is, no one's perfect, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to make mistakes, and we're always going to make mistakes. That's just human nature, but that's the human in us. But then that's where we have to kind of lock in to the spiritual side of it, and and
that's where we need God, because
100%.
we're humans are not meant to be perfect.
100%. I agree.
So I want to get into the nitty gritty of your cases. What's the worst case you dealt with, bro?
I can't go into too much detail about
Of
that.
course.
I can't really say the ins and outs because it's pretty brutal at times. But
Give us the crux of it. You don't have to go too
the worst things are that I've dealt with. Anything relate? There's a lot of things that there's like really bad domestics that can happen where where someone would have gone through years and years of domestic violence, but silently. There has been moments like that. Then there's been stuff where I've dealt with where, like anything children related, that's not nice. And then suicides has been a lot. Like suicides are pretty rough. So I've been to quite a few of them as well. They are probably like the worst of the things that you'll deal with. But it's just how you deal with it, really. Like I said, for each of those things, you kind of adapt to the situation. But those are kind of like the worst that I'd say I've dealt with.
And when it comes to like those kind of scenarios where you said that they've been within that domestic issues for a long time, for years, how do you get someone out of that?
I think it's all about trying to reassure them, really, because a lot of people who are in domestic violence, they don't want to reach out because they're scared to, because they're scared, what if my partner finds out, and then he's gonna do this or that, or she's gonna do this or that. I think a lot of people, when they think as well, which I want to add, is domestic violence is not just on women; it can be on men as well. Obviously, it's a lot more common with women, but it does happen to men as well. So, like I said, for both parties, really, it's about them whether they want to. It's not whether they want to, but they want to come out of it, but they just don't know how. They're just scared, and I think it's for us to reassure them that we can help you, we can protect you, and just kind of be there to listen to them as well. I think listening is a very important part of policing. You need to be able to listen to what someone says, and just like I said, have that empathy. I think people in domestic violence, they don't receive a lot of empathy, especially from their significant other. So I think that's sometimes what they're looking for, someone he can listen and be a bit empathetic, be like, okay, you know what, I don't know, I mean, I understand what you're saying. Obviously I don't understand what you're going through, because maybe we haven't gone through it, but I understand what you're saying, and I can help you out, or I can try to help you. But the best bit about it is when you do help them and then you get to put the other person in jail. It's the best bit, because you're doing something positive. And
nice. Have you experienced death in your life? I feel like I know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. But have you experienced death in your line of work yet? Because you've been here doing this for 2 years, 3 years.
3 years now, 3 and a bit years.
So in the span of 3 years, have you experienced death?
As in where I was nearly gonna.
No.
I was in like. That's what I mean.
I'm gonna reconsider the question, bro. Wait,
as in death, as in like, have I seen death?
Yeah, that's the word. I'm gonna redo the question.
Okay.
So, you've been a cop for 3 years now. Have you seen death?
Yeah, plenty of times. Plenty of times.
And during those times, how do you not lose hope? When you see that many times, it's not just once in it. So in the 3 years, you would have seen it many times. And how do you not lose hope? I know
lose hope in essentially what, like humanity, or like lose hope in like, because death could be, the things I've seen in death is a lot of things that I've seen, like in accidents. There's been like motor vehicle, like not motor vehicle, as in like like accidents, and like in terms of that, you got suicides. I haven't necessarily seen death in terms of someone else. Actually, no, I have. Oh yeah, I've seen the death in every aspect, I guess. But yeah, how do I? It's just, I don't know. Like, I think in terms of if you're asking, I think everyone has free will. So I don't. If you're asking in terms of how do I don't lose hope in like God or something or stuff like that, I think it's because everyone has they have the choice of free will, right? God, the best gift that God's given us is free will. We know what the consequences are if we're going to do something wrong. But that's what makes our God so good, is that we've got that free will. But we need to make sure that we don't take that to our advantage.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people do that. So yeah, I think it's just knowing that everyone has free will. So I don't lose hope, and so because I've heard of the worst of the worst things. I've seen some pretty bad stuff as well. But it's never made me question God ever. If anything, it's shown me that people need God more. Like, that's what it showed me. It showed me that people need God a lot. But like I said, it's up to them whether they want to choose God or not. God's chosen everyone, but everyone else has to make that step to go, because I just feel like God's there no matter what for everyone. It's just us reaching out to Him and kind of, making that kind of first step.
Yeah.
Because God's chosen everyone. God's always there for everyone. But it just shows that, people need God more.
Yeah.
That's what it showed me.
And because you talked about hope in humanity as well. So how do you not, like, when you see all this people, because you say you don't want to be, one of the first things you learned from the get-go is not be too gullible and all that. How do you still choose to trust people even though you've experienced this many people not backstab you, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Trust me, like, you just because the thing is, I think there is, in everyone there is good. Everyone, because He's perfect, right? So I don't think He's ever made anyone to be bad. I think it's the decisions that people make that can turn them bad, right? So in the way I think of it is, everyone has good in them, everyone. But it's just choosing that. It's like a switch, right? You can either be good or you can be bad, or it's either you can make this decision or you can make that decision, So yeah, I just think everyone has good in them. You just have to sometimes reach a bit further to get to them. But sometimes people can be in a position where they don't want to be reached, and as sad as it sounds, sometimes it's difficult, because sometimes you can't do anything further, or you've tried everything you possibly can. The last thing they need to do is to be able to make that step themselves. It's like, I don't know, for example, if you have some sort of addiction to something, drugs or alcohol, there's a lot of things there to help you. But at the same time, in order to go to, say for example, rehab, you need to put that first step in. It's the same, with God, I see, because God's there. And if we want help from God, He's going to give it us. But we need to make that first step to get there. Once we've put that first step in, He's gonna be there to hold our hand. But at the same time, you've got the devil waiting, because he knows your weaknesses, right? So he's just gonna be ready to catch you out, really.
I just have to give you like credit, bro, because at the end of the day, like, I love how you say no matter all these things you go through, you don't lose hope in God, nor you don't lose hope in people as well, because they have the free will, and at the end of the day they do have the good in them. And I think that goes back to what you said, it takes a different kind of mentality to be a cop. And I think
the way we say it at work is, as funny as it sounds, you have to be pretty messed up to be a police officer in the head, because it's like we always say as well as a joke that as a police officer, everyone's going through their own thing as well. But then as soon as it comes to going helping someone else out, we'll drop everything. You know, because our job is one of the very few jobs where everyone runs away from danger, we run towards it. You know, that's the same as being a prison officer as well. We're literally living within the danger. And the police officer, you're literally running towards the danger. And what normal person, I mean, we're all normal, but like, what sane person is gonna do that, you know?
And that's what it makes me like feel more like kudos to you, because, and all the police officers, because it does take a different kind of mentality to still hope in God and still hope in people.
Because I think, you know, policing as well, it doesn't pay like it doesn't pay like unbelievable, you know. But policing is more about just money. I think it's about, if you really want to do the job, then it's about you helping people at the end of the day. That's what you're doing. You're helping people. And for me, like I said at the start of our conversation, I just like helping people. So yeah,
that's really good, bro. And thank you for doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, brother. Thanks so much for doing this, bro. And we're going to the end of the episode. And do you have any final words?
No, not really. I think I've said everything. Yeah, I'll just say, yeah, just be kind to people. You don't know what they're going through in life, and one of the main things is don't judge anyone, because you don't know what they're going through. I think everyone's life is everyone's going through something in life. It's very easy to judge someone by face, but once you get to actually know what they're going through, then your whole aspect and your whole outlook on them changes. And that's one thing I've realised in policing. Sometimes the people who are doing bad, sometimes they don't want to, but they're just in that position where they fall into a trap where they can't think of anything but doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you so much, bro.
Thanks for having me.